Okay.
Hang on. I'm on a Zoom meeting right now. Bye. Okay, we are
We're
live.
live.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regularly scheduled May 11th, 2021 Sewer Commission meeting. I will begin the meeting with reading the Goffstown Right to Know meeting checklist. So as chair of the Goffstown Sewer Commission, due to the COVID-19 outbreak and in accordance with Governor Sununu's emergency order number 12 pursuant to executive order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are utilizing, the Sewer Commission is utilizing a telephone conference line for this electronic meeting. The public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in the meeting through dialing the following telephone number, 603-766-5646, and using the participant code 785645, followed by the pound sign. The town previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting using the available telephone number with the posted agenda. If anybody has a problem with telephone access, please call 603-488-6783. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at a later date. Please note that all votes taken during the meeting shall be done by roll call vote. We'll start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, also please state whether there's anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the Right to Know law. So I'll begin with Vice Chair Dave Pierce.
Yes, Dave Pierce. I'm here in the room alone.
Commissioner Taylor.
Daniel Taylor, I'm in the room alone.
Corey White, Sewer Foreman.
Corey White, Sewer Foreman, and I'm in my office.
Selectman's Rep Chet Bowen.
Chet Bowen, Select Board Rep, and I am alone in the room.
And our Secretary Lynn Pooler.
Lynn Pooler, Sewer Secretary. I am alone in the room.
We were waiting for Mike Trank from Hoyle Tanner, and if he comes into the meeting, I'll have Lynn just let us know so that Mike can participate. Okay, the first order of our public meetings are always a public comment session. If the public wishes to make public comment, we ask that you call in on the available access line, which was provided at the beginning of the meeting and on the agenda prior to the meeting. So we'll, as a rule, we usually keep it open in the event that someone wants to call in. Lynn, is that someone on the line?
No.
Okay,
That's
what is
just
the,
Errol.
excuse me?
That's GTV.
Okay, the DH?
Yes.
Okay. So why is it in the middle of my screen?
I don't know.
It said I have a hang up icon. Should I hang it up?
No, you don't want to hang him up.
Okay. Well, he just disappeared. He's still there. So GTV, you're in the middle of my screen for some reason, DH. Okay. We'll keep public comment open for a while, and if no one calls in, we'll close public comment later. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our April 13th, 2021 meeting. Does anyone have any corrections or comments?
We do have a call. Who is this Mike just on the phone? ASH? Hello?
Hello, this is Mike.
Are you on the phone, Mike?
Yes, I am. I was
Okay.
on earlier, but for some reason you couldn't hear me.
Oh, okay.
All right, welcome, Mike. Could you please state your name for the record and whether you're alone in the room?
Michael Trank with Hoyle Tanner and Associates, and I am alone in the room.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, so we get back to our minutes of April 13th. Does anyone have any corrections or comments?
This is David. Make a motion to approve the minutes of April 13th.
Motion's been made to approve as presented,
Second.
seconded. So we will have is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote. David,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
and Tim, the chair, votes yes. Thank you. Is there any new business to discuss tonight, Lynn? We have nothing on the
I have
agenda.
nothing. Nope.
All right, so under new business, could you please give us a report on funds that would be maybe available in our budget to pay for the engineering requests for the East Union Pump Station, either repairs or the engineering to get those repairs highlighted?
Okay. It's actually on the agenda under old business, the first item, so
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
It
Oh.
just says, I have Elm Street easement and pump station parking on my
No,
agenda.
there was a second one that I sent out. All that was added was this, so you're good.
All right, so what is it under old business? What's it entitled?
Pump station structural evaluation dash budget.
Okay, thank you. I'll get to that then.
You,
Okay, so there is no new business for tonight, right, Lynn?
no.
Okay, thank you. So under old business, we have the Elm Street easement. Who is going to speak to that, Lynn?
That was something that you had asked me to put in at the last meeting. You asked me to put it on the agenda for this meeting.
Okay. I don't remember why I asked you for that. I apologize. Does anybody else help me out with my bad memory? Maybe it was for the easement for the pump station land that I've been waiting for some answers from the Board of Selectmen, and we got them from our town administrator, Derek Horn. And at this point, I think we have to find out if the landowner next to the pump station is going to be willing to sell us the easement land or not. And I apologize, I didn't do anything about that. So I think this evening, before we push it off again, I would ask if Vice Chair Dave Pierce would be willing and able to speak with that landowner on behalf of the commissioners. Dave?
Yes, I will go through my backyard and hop over the fence and talk with them.
That'd be great. Do you have copies of a map that shows the easement area we are looking to expand, as well as the other easements we want to purchase? Do you have that map?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Dave. And could you provide them with a copy at the time, please?
I'll have one with me. And so the intent is to purchase all the land we currently have as an easement, plus the additional land that we wish to utilize.
Yeah, that's shown on the Elm Street map as a wedge from at the current property corner on Elm Street down to about 10 feet wide at the very bottom. Correct, Dave?
Correct.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you doing that. I hope to get there, but I did not. Okay, and I assume the Elm Street, who's that?
This is Dan Taylor.
Go ahead, Dan.
Would it be possible to get a copy of that map?
Yes, I will have either, Lynn, do you have that available? You could email that to Dan so he can see what's going on.
I believe I do. I'll go ahead and check. If not, Corey probably has it.
Corey?
I can dig through the files and see if I can find it somewhere.
I'll look
Okay.
first. I'll
Okay.
work with you if I don't have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If not, Dave, do you have it in your email chain still that you could email it to Dan?
I think it would be better if I emailed it, because I'll show Dan the copy that I'll be presenting to the landowner.
Perfect. So,
I've color enhanced it to show the wedge of land that we need to purchase.
okay, Dan, Dave will take care of that with you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. So the second item is Elm Street Pump Station parking. Is that the same thing we're talking about, Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so the last thing under old business was pump station.
Oh.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
The pump station at the East Union needs some repairs and some evaluation by the engineering firm. And we were looking within our budget to find the money to possibly pay for that. So Lynn, could you please give us a report on where our budget stands at this time?
All right, I was looking at the 3 accounts that we could possibly take it out of. We have consulting services. We had the budget of 45,000, and part of that was the money Mike Yurgo was going to charge us. We've only spent $10,612 year to date, leaving us a balance of $34,388. Contract services, we have 53,000 budgeted. We haven't spent anything, and that's for the VACON vendor to clean the lines. And then CIP projects, I'm not sure what we have planned for the summer and fall, but we have 645,484 budgeted, and we've spent 3461 with a balance of 642,023.
Thank you.
And then we also have, under the pump stations, that was the sewer operations. Under the pump stations, we have contract services, which we had $10,000 budgeted for. And then we haven't spent anything. And then we had the pump station upgrade, which we budgeted $350,000 for, and I'm not sure how much that's going to come out to. We haven't spent anything yet.
Well, based on, the only one that I think would be untouchable would be the one for the Belmore Catch Basin Maintenance Services. That's the only account that I think would be untouchable, but it seems like the other accounts are healthy and we have money to do that. Do I have any other input from the other commissioners on this subject, please?
Tim, the last item that Lynn mentioned, pump station upgrade, 350,000. Isn't that what we're talking about? The Elm Street pump station, isn't that being upgraded? And the facility itself, plus we need additional parking. To facilitate all that, we need to purchase land too. There's like 3 pieces of this puzzle.
You're right, Dave. So that account needs to be left alone because that was the money we set aside to pay for
The land.
For the pump station upgrade itself at Elm Street, a portion of it, or at least something towards it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not all just coming at us all at once. We were going to see what the bid came in at and then evaluate it from there and add to it if necessary. So David is right about that money also.
Okay.
So it seems like we're in good shape. Corey White, you there?
Yep.
Could you please contact Belmore Catch Basin Maintenance and make sure we're on the schedule this summer for the appropriate amount of cleaning that you want to get done in the sewer system?
Yep, I can do that.
Yeah, because we're gonna leave that in your ballpark because you're the one that's going to coordinate it, as well as the flagging for what we need for flaggers. So you'll just have to start planning on that when you can get a few minutes and try to get together with Belmore and make sure that they're saving space for us in their schedule this summer.
Yep, no problem.
And the flaggers need at least 30 days notice because their payroll fluctuates based on needs. So we'll have to give them plenty of notice, Corey.
All right.
Thank you. Somebody's, all right. Do either commissioners have anything else regarding this appropriation request for the East Union pump station repairs? Does anyone concur that we are financially okay and it shouldn't be a problem to find it within our budget? Commissioner Pierce?
I'm ready to go with it.
Okay, good. And how about you, Commissioner Taylor?
I don't have any concerns.
Okay, good. Well, I just want to make sure we're all in it together, not just one person. On another old business item, if I may, we're talking about the Riverview Pump Station building. We're supposed to be looking at getting something done before winter down there. And for Commissioner Taylor, is there actually something called lightweight concrete that if we were to get something built, that it wouldn't be the full weight of 4,000-pound concrete like you build a bridge out of?
Yes, Mike will probably know more, but there are different mix designs where you can have lightweight concrete. It's going to be a lot more expensive, based on experience working for a precaster. We had one mix design that we used almost all the time. We had perfected it. It was self-consolidating concrete, no minimal vibration needed, and when you poured it in the forms, and you'd pour it, strip it 24 hours, and you'd make all your structures and no problem. We would generally do custom designs only for large projects, like large DOT projects, things like that. But it probably won't be much of an issue. It's just going with the standard mix. Usually, we made a few utility buildings. You could have them outfitted different ways, but like monolithic floor with the walls, you'd install everything on at the factory. You'd finish it, install the roof, do whatever you need. All the doors, hatches, things would be cast in place into the wall, pre-assembled, and we just bring it in, drop it in with a crane, and you'd be in and out real quick.
Okay, now is that a single piece or is that a multi-piece design?
Usually we would do the walls and the floor was one piece, and then the roof was a single slab.
Okay.
Depending on the size, of course. Sometimes it'd be three pieces, so a slab floor, then the barrel made out of kind of like a box culvert, just flipped up on its side, and then a slab roof. But
what I brought up the subject of lightweight concrete because when Hoyle Tanner gets done evaluating the slab, I want to be sure the slab can have the load rating that a pre-stressed concrete building would bear on that slab. That's kind of why I asked you about that.
Yeah. I would expect it to be significantly more expensive to do a custom mix design, one-off for a single structure at a plant, but I don't have any relationships with the local precasters who make that. There's definitely one company in New Hampshire, Shea, that does them, and probably a few others. But the engineer would probably have to talk to them and see what.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. Thank you. So Mike Trank, I'd like to drag you into this conversation if I could, please. Mike, when the evaluation of that slab is completed, we're going to be looking to you probably for some leads on who we might contact for the construction of such a precast building. Mike?
Sure. Yeah, I think Dan put a pretty good summary together. There's quite a broad variety of materials that are available in terms of prefabricated structures. And, I'm sure, this could be, a complete prefabricated building, or it could be something that you assemble on site. So there's actually quite a number of options available, over an assorted price range, of course. But yeah, we'd certainly be happy to take a look at a couple of options for you and make a recommendation.
Mike, would you recommend it goes out as a design build contract?
No, not for something that size.
Okay, so you guys would come up with a recommendation to the commission for either a single unit precast building or a four walls that assemble on site with a slab roof. That would be what you would work up for us and give us a recommendation on which direction to go?
Yes.
Okay, good. Have you and your team had an opportunity to consider the evaluation of that slab yet?
That's part of the proposal that we sent to you that you've been talking about tonight.
Okay, I'll need to see that because I'm not sure that I've seen that. That was not, when I responded to you last night in the email, that was something different, correct? That was for the Louis Street project, right?
That was different, right?
Yeah, totally different.
Yeah,
So-
we had sent a proposal last month to do structural evaluation that included Riverview Park, the SWAB. It included East Union Street, the roof and building structure, and it also included Elm Street to assess the damage from the snowplow hitting the building.
All right, so Lynn, help me out. Was that an agenda item that we have discussed? 'Cause my memory-
That's what what I was going over the budget for was for that,
Okay,
for the structural evaluations.
all right, so,
13,000 something, 13,990, 13,900. And you wanted to know where we were going to get that money from.
okay. So I want to continue the discussion with the commissioners and request a vote on the authorization of that funding so Hoyle Tanner can begin their work. So with the other commissioners, we have any other discussion on moving forward with this item?
One question here. This is David. Lynn,
Yes.
what was the contract that I signed in your office a month ago? I thought it was Hoyle Tanner.
It was the other contract. It was, let me see.
Was it the contract for Louis Street, Lynn?
Oh, no, excuse
For
me.
Louis
It
Street,
was
yes,
Louis.
it was Louis Street.
Louis. Okay,
Okay. So we need to get an authorization for Hoyle Tanner for this 13,900 for the evaluation of these other structures that needs to be looked at. So I'd like to discuss that and ask for a motion when we're done with our discussion for a yay or a nay.
Yeah, I believe that was we discussed it last time, but didn't actually vote on it at the time.
Right, because I asked for.
David wanted to know where the money was coming from.
So we have identified that money in our budget at this time is to my satisfaction.
Yes.
Okay, so Dave, are you satisfied that we have the money in our budget to move forward?
and because I'm satisfied, a motion, Mr. Chair, to enter into the contract with Hoyle Tanner and Associates with a value of $13,900 for structural analysis and related examination of our buildings that had been discussed.
Commissioner Daniel
A
Taylor,
motion,
I would second.
so the motion's been made and seconded for the Hoyle Tanner project. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll ask for roll call vote. David,
Yes,
Daniel,
Yes.
and Tim, the chair, votes yes. So Mike, we will sign that contract and get it back over to you.
Did you want me to put the amount of money in that motion? The
Yes, please, Lynn.
13,900?
13,900. So Dave, would you amend your motion to include that amount?
I spoke to that value in my motion.
I'm sorry, I did
didn't
not.
hear it. I'm sorry.
My fault.
No, it's
Okay,
fine.
so the motion does not need to be amended. All right, good. All right, sorry for this meeting being a little crazy. I'm still learning how to use this system. So Is there any other thing that we need to discuss tonight? Corey, do you have anything needs to be discussed?
I had a couple pump issues, one at Moose Club and one at Riverview. Those two stations tend to be a little problematic because on the outlet from the pump, there's actually flappers to help keep prime. And they're a known issue. In talking with AAA Pump, they've kind of recommended doing like either a 6-month or a yearly maintenance on those buildings to try to help alleviate overheating the pumps, because that's what happens when they don't close. The pumps will just run till they overheat, and then it'll finally shut itself off once it gets too hot. I've asked them to put some numbers together to see what it would be to get on more of a maintenance program where they come in and they actually dismantle pretty much everything and go through the pumps either once a year or every 6 months and actually clean everything and change the oil and all the drives. I think it's a really good idea, seeing that they're problematic and they're here a couple times a year for that stuff anyways. So
From my personal opinion, I don't see anything problems with you using your budget for maintenance, and this is maintenance. So I think if you can give us some numbers from AAA, they are our regular vendor. The commissioners can tell you to a yay or a nay to move forward, which I'm certainly is going to be, in the interest of keeping those pumps running.
Yep. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, I was curious, I think, didn't we put aside some money for like computers, technology, stuff like that last year?
We have it in our budget.
Okay. I would like to talk to IT about getting a laptop to be able to things I have and the mass utility drawings. So when a call comes in the middle of the night, I legitimately can start my truck and look up the information and have it right in the truck with me. Because I've run into it a couple of times now where you can't find manholes and I end up having to run back here to try to look up more information while the sewer main is backing up.
Well,
So it's kind of,
I personally think that getting a laptop for you through our budget is not a problem. So I'll ask our other commissioners for opinions. Dave?
I'm in favor of that. And Corey, you're going to have to tell IT the gigabyte size of all your data files so that the proposed laptop has enough storage.
well, that's why I need to talk to them, because they know our system, and seeing that some of these drawings are actually AutoCAD drawings. So it would probably need their recommendation on what we need to get to make sure that everything is compatible, so I can actually have that stuff on a laptop.
No, yes, I'm in favor of you having a mobile office for all your drawings.
Daniel?
Yeah, as long as the town's IT department didn't have any serious concerns, it would make sense for someone like a sewer foreman to have a laptop. It's not like he's in the town hall all the time. He's out in the field every day, so I would have expected he already would have at this point.
Thank you. Selectman Bowen?
You're on mute.
Man, that's so long. No, I agree with Commissioner Taylor. And Corey, sorry to you. I assumed in your position you had already had one. So I think I'm happy that you're asking now. We can get that done.
Okay, perfect.
I just wanted to let you know that there is no money left on that line item, but we can still charge it to that line item and we'll offset it with something else. I'm sure I can find a place to.
All right. So Corey, your mission now, Corey, is to get with IT and get something and get it. Do we need to worry about an amount, other commissioners? Or can we just authorize them right now to move forward and get it done?
Corey needs to get an estimate.
Okay, that's what we'll do. Working on that, Corey?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Corey, you mentioned to me something else about the Manchester and some SCADA problems or requesting SCADA ability. So could you please inform the commissioners about what's going on with the whatever it was, the meters that you're trying to get read?
Yep. So we have, the issue I'm having is in East Union Pump Station, we have a metering pit at St. A's and a metering pit basically on the Byron Street Bridge, under the Kelly Street Bridge, that monitors all the flow that comes out of St. A's, and the other monitors all the flow from the entire town that's getting sent to Manchester. So the technology in our buildings is out of date. It's old, and from talking with AD Instruments and even Consolidated Technologies, having to deal with both of them lately to get the issue straightened out, they're going, Consolidated Communication is basically getting away from copper telephone wires. Nobody uses it anymore. It's an outdated technology, and they're literally stripping them off the poles. Massachusetts doesn't even have it anymore. All the stuff, the two signals that I receive are based on those copper wires, and the meters themselves are so old that they do not make parts for them anymore. So once something breaks in them, they're done. So in talking with Consolidated, like the Manchester meter has been out for over a month trying to get this signal to work inside the Manchester building and to transmit all the way from Manchester to Goffstown, having to check the wires, because if there's one little break, you don't get a signal. And like our CMOM report is 90% of the data comes from the Manchester meter and the St. A's meter. That's what the state likes to see. And it's based on 2 months, basically March and April, because that's the high flow, those 2 months. When a meter goes out for that amount of time, I've lost a whole month of data because of a telephone line. So in communicating with AD Instruments, the technology that everybody has changed to and is changing to, there's a couple different ones. SCADA is one, and the other is they use cellular technology. Instead of having any lines, you get away from all hard lines, and it's all cell signals. So you never lose a signal unless the tower were to fall over. They all have massive generators. It's always transmitting a signal. So they're recommending that we would switch over, get away from the copper wires, and change, to start with, at least those two to cellular technology.
So have they provided you with any type of estimates for costs at this point?
I know I've been in contact with Tom, the owner of AD Instruments, and he, of course, is super busy, and he's trying to put something together for me about all the technology, what they would need to do, and cost to replace those 2 meters and basically set it all up.
Well, you need to work on that. Once again, you've got enough on your plate, but you need to keep going on that too, so that we can create an authorization, hopefully, to get those done before they're in failure and we can't provide our CMOM report.
Exactly. Yep.
David?
Oh, actually, one other thing to add to that is with the SCADA technology too, the issue we're having in like the Riverview Pump Station, if we're going to do something with that building, we're going to be taking everything off the walls. The meter in that building, because I want to think of it, I can't, but the graph, I ordered enough paper for like 3 years, but I had to special order it. In the company, there's only one company that does it anymore. They had to specially print the stuff. It's all done. They don't make it anymore. You can't get paper for it anymore. So that one is going to have to go to something different. That one's all tracked in the building. It's not sent via a signal.
So I think it's time for a big look at this whole system, Corey, for the metering pits as well as our pump stations. And we can do it in 2 phases, or we can get a project request for the whole thing. But the sooner you're able to get those folks to respond to you, the better for the commissioners. And we can get something done before it's too late.
Yep, exactly. Thank you.
Commissioner Pierce, I'd like you, any input on this subject, please? All right. David, are you there? All right, while we wait for David, how about Commissioner Taylor? Daniel?
Yes, a cell-based metering that transmits over a cell signal or something makes sense. It would make sense to move to a system like that in this day and age. So, yeah.
Thank you. So you're in favor of it?
Yep.
I still haven't heard from Dave. Maybe our connection got bad with Dave Pierce. I don't even
Yeah,
see.
he just went off. He's probably going to try calling back in.
Okay,
we
we'll give
just
him a minute
lost
to
him.
call in. He has had problems in the past maintaining a connection.
He was frozen for a while, and then he just dropped off.
Okay. Well, we'll just give it a second here. So the public hearing has been open all this time, and we've had no calls, Lynn.
No.
So please make a note that we're closing the public hearing at this time. Another thing is I asked Lynn to prepare a contact list for all of us. Does anybody have a problem with their name and contact information being made available? If so, I'll have her remove it from the list, but I thought it would be advantageous in case we had to get in touch with each other.
Dave should be back. He called in. Is that you, Dave? David? Hey, can you hear us?
Yes, I lost my internet connection. I'm back online again.
Thank you, Dave. Dave, I was asking for comments on Corey's request to upgrade our metering pits and possibly the data information through our pump stations to a cellular signal to get away from the copper lines. I wanted to get your input on that. Commissioner Taylor is in favor of it at this time, as well as myself.
Yes, I concur. Let Corey go ahead and get the details and the costs and scheduling. We'll discuss that at the next meeting.
Corey, if it's possible, could you get a printed report on the whole subject matter and submit it to Lynn to submit to the commissioners ahead of time so they will have a chance to review the information and possibly act on it at a meeting?
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yep, go ahead.
Corey, some places may provide this without you asking, but in my experience, it's important to ask with any sort of new technology, the life expectancy of said technology, and of course these, I would say, average annual maintenance of new technology. Some of them will be kind enough to provide it, but I've also noticed some sort of conveniently leave it out. So if you could grab that and make that part of your abbreviated report, that'd be great.
I will, and I actually asked that question to Matt at AD Instruments when he was working on the meters. And Manchester actually has, they highly recommend it. And he said the people that they were having issues with before that have swapped over to it, in 2 years, they've never been back to work on it.
Great.
Corey, you touched on what I was going to ask you. We want to make sure that whatever we do is also compatible with Manchester's systems so they're all tied together if they need to be eventually.
So the way it works in Manchester, the setup is pretty much mirrored to what is in the East Union building. Everything in that building is pretty much ours. They've already updated their side of it pretty much. So, and being in that building with Matt from AD, I asked him exactly that. I said, can we upgrade what's in this building now and everything still works with Manchester, everything still works. And he said, yes, the main component of what's sending the signal, that aspect doesn't change. That signal will still go into the cellular part and send it out. So it won't change anything like that.
Okay.
Good.
Any other discussion on this business of electronic metering and reporting for the pump stations? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. So any other business under old business from any of the commissioners or from Lynn or any other members of the meeting tonight?
I
I
don't have
just-
anything.
Mr. Chairman,
I just wanted
this
to
is
bring.
Dave.
David, Lynn was trying to go. Could you keep going, Lynn?
Sure. I just wanted to let you know CIP, we will be meeting, I believe it's in July. I don't have a definite date yet, and I believe Corey and Mike are working on that together at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
David, did you want to speak, sir?
Yes, Adam Bermikowitz, otherwise the owner of Green Thumbs Landscaping, was in at our meeting last month. Where do we stand formally announcing to him what his annual use fee will be? How does that process work for a new customer?
Corey? Lynn, are you going to answer that?
Yeah, I was waiting for you and Corey were supposed to talk and come up with a plan about how you wanted to go about that. Were we going to increase anything where he's not really having any seating or bathroom facilities?
Corey, could you speak to
So
that?
I provided to Tim a month ago my analysis that the flow coming from the new use, even though it's potentially two different categories of use. One is retail, and the other is an occasional ice cream dipper category. The flow from both of those categories is less than one treatment unit. So I propose that we formally notify him that his annual fee will be one treatment unit.
What is
I
he
would-
present?
I would concur with that too. And I finally, believe it or not, when I just sat down here, I checked my email to get on this meeting. And I've been waiting I asked a question to the state restaurant inspector about ice cream dippers, just because we need to know if they have them or not. That's just a piece of information for the sewer department to know for their use. And they don't have them. Green Thumb isn't using them. And from the state aspect of it, they're not required to have them. So in terms of flow, their flow is very minimum. Like Dave had that calculation that Dave came up with, they're well under a treatment unit, and I concur that it should stay with what the building has now. It's a one treatment unit.
So the building is presently paying for one treatment unit.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, good. So
Yes,
if
and
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, when I look at the entire roster of all our customers, if you look at all of the commercial customers, the minimum amount of any commercial customer is one treatment unit. So that reinforces why I wanted the annual use fee to be one treatment unit. It's compatible with the minimum flow of every other commercial customer.
So at this point, it sounds like we should ask for a motion to authorize Corey to speak to, or Lynn to speak to Mr. Bermakowitz and let him know there will be no change to his sewer bill. Is that what I'm hearing, David?
Yes, I want him to be formally towed.
Okay, so would you please make the motion then, sir?
Could, 1 second, please?
Go ahead, Daniel.
I thought we asked him to formally put in a request last time we talked to him.
Well, things have changed actually since he got an approval at the planning board recently where they are not going to have an outside window. It's going to be in the building only. It's a much lower threshold of use, and he is not going to have those ice cream dippers, which are making and cleaning products, putting water into the system. So unless that changes, this is where the decision is coming from members in this discussion, that there will be no change for his
The
use.
planning board also did not authorize him to have signage advertising the sale of food products, ice cream.
He described
So
it as
it's strictly a convenience for the customers who happen to be inside the store.
yes, he described it as an incidental service for customers that were there buying their plants, is well how he described it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I saw his grand opening, and it's pretty minimal currently with regards to ice cream, freezer and stuff. But yeah.
The other thing I would like to make sure we do is maybe check in at some point, 6 months or a year from now, to make sure nothing has changed. The dippers were not installed and we didn't know about them. But Corey, are you saying that even with dippers, it would not change it above one treatment unit?
Even if he installed 2 ice cream dippers, he'd still fall under the 1 treatment unit.
Okay, well then I hear what you're saying. Okay.
And how do we handle different farms? Because that is fairly similar operation. If he were to install a ice cream service windows.
I
He
think they're on
can't install a window. He was denied permission for that.
Sure. Right.
He was denied permission to have an outdoor window, and he was denied permission to have signage on the building advertising that he was selling ice cream at the premises.
Okay.
So it would be illegal for him to do that by his approval for the site. I know it's tricky sometimes. Okay. So do we need a motion, David, to authorize Corey or not?
Say again, please.
Do we need a motion to authorize Corey or Lynn to speak to Mr. Vermakowitz, or to just be an administrative item that they can handle for us?
Well, that brings up the process that apparently I'm new with, and I always thought that Corey, in his position, would be making the firm recommendation about the use fee and the connection fee, and
He's frozen again.
David, we heard what you're saying. So Corey, could you please make a firm recommendation for the commissioners to put in the book?
I recommend that the building stays the same in the billing aspect of 1 treatment unit.
Okay, there's recommendation from our sewer foreman that is, nothing is going to change and it stays at 1 treatment unit.
I motion to accept Corey's recommendation that it stays at 1 treatment unit.
Okay, the motion is made by Commissioner Taylor to accept his recommendation and pass it on to Mr. Vermakowitz. David, are you back?
No.
He's still frozen for me.
First Flight Conference Direct Service. We're glad you're here. Please enter your participant.
He's there. I see him now.
Do you? Oh, yeah,
Yep.
there he is.
David, you're back.
thank you.
So David, did you hear that Corey made a recommendation
Yes, I did.
per your request? And Commissioner Taylor made a motion to accept his recommendation.
So
I'm looking for a,
Are you going to second it, Dave?
okay, I'm sorry.
That conference call was not scheduled for this time.
Yes,
Calling
second on.
First Flight Direct Service.
Motion
shut off my
is
phone.
made. We'll have a roll
Okay,
call vote.
second the motion.
Okay, it's motion been made and seconded. David, how do you vote?
Yes,
Thank you. Daniel,
Yes.
And Tim votes yes. So Corey, you speak to Mr. Vermakowitz on our behalf, please, or Lynn. If Lynn, you need to send him a formal letter of any kind, you coordinate that with Corey, please.
Okay.
Any other, we have an authorization for a warrant. Do you need warrant signed, Lynn?
I don't have any to be signed at the moment, but I will, the week of May 24th, I will be sending out the sewer bills. And I'm going to need all three of you before I can actually send them out. Once the warrant's ready, I need you to come in and sign it. Are you all available that week?
I will make the time, or I'll have Evie pick it up and bring it, and then bring it back to you.
Okay, I'm thinking it'll probably be around Wednesday. I'm mailing them out on Thursday, so.
All right, well, just keep us in the loop, and I'll make sure I get it done for you on my end.
Okay.
Okay, I have an other business as warranted. Corey, could you please give us an update on what's going on the project across from the villa?
They're going to start their sewer portion of that in the morning, actually. And I was in contact with Summit Excavating and the company that manages the facility for the owners of the villa. And they gave permission to do whatever they needed to do with the line.
Okay.
Because there's a manhole where they come off the interceptor and start bringing it back towards the property, and ends up that manhole lands right in the same location as the villa's line runs.
Okay.
And they, at my request, opened up that pump house, made sure that the pumps are turned off, nothing is active. So they're good to go.
I have a question for Lynn. Lynn, did they ever request a suspension of sewer service and payment at the villa?
No, well, I was looking into that the other day. They did not. They've
Okay,
been
good.
paying, but they're not paying what they were when it was a school.
Right, but
They're
they still
paying
have
the
active sewer
landscaping.
service, so we needed permission.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
You-
All right, so, and David, have you been down there because the rail trail is really close to where they're working?
I visited the on-site manager about 4 hours ago.
Wonderful.
I
Wonderful.
had heard of a report that his excavator might have been tearing up the tread of the trail. It turned out that because he's using the trail to get from the east site to the west site, because Dan Little Brook is in the middle. But the rumor proved to be false. He's not damaging the tread of the trail.
Is he using
And,
the trail?
yes, and the general manager confirmed what Corey said, that he's starting on the sewer connections tomorrow.
So Dave, is he using the rail trail to access the other side of the site?
Yes, it's possible, but he is using his excavator is getting on the trail for the sewer connections. And the general manager already told me that if the surface is scarred up, that he'll drag a mat over it to smooth it back out.
Well, my question for you, David, is do they have the authority to travel on the rail trail to get to the other side of Dan Little Brook? I wouldn't have even suspected that'd be happening.
The park department is aware of the possibility that an excavator might be on the trail, and the director of the park department is not concerned.
Okay. Well, it's your baby, so if you're happy, we're happy.
It's the park department's baby. Yeah. I'm a volunteer.
Well, should they have obtained written permission from the Board of Selectmen? Chet Bowen, could you speak to that?
Permission, I'm sorry, permission to what specifically?
Well, as you know, that project down there across from the villa is cut in half by Dan Little Brook.
Yep.
And I would never have expected that a contractor would be even considering using the rail trail as a avenue to go from one side of Dan Little Brook to the other with heavy equipment. I would think that would be expressly forbidden.
Yeah, so What I can speak to is nothing that I am aware of has come to us where permission has been asked for that specific piece.
Well, I would say if they have to be on the rail trail to construct a sewer connection for the side they're working on, that is an acceptable risk, but certainly not as a road to travel between the two sites. That's my personal opinion, and as both sewer and planning, and as a taxpayer. So maybe you can ask a few questions, Chet.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, any other business that this commission would like to discuss this evening from all parties, including Mike Trank?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just an update on the Lewis Street sewer replacement. We've got the drawings basically in pretty good shape, I think. I thought they'd be ready to go to DES for review. But a question came up, which I'll get to. I also met with Corey last week. We had a kind of a work session, I guess you'd call it. And we kind of walked through all the drawings and changes that we've made to the drawings. And, an opportunity for Corey to ask questions and him and I talk about the design concepts and so forth. That was part of the deal with our contract. So we did meet and go through the drawings, and we're working on the specifications. So, we should have a package ready to go to DES for review shortly. There was one issue that came up recently, though. It wasn't clear. Well, let me back up. The sewer replacement includes replacement of a storm drain line on, I think it's the east side, because it's in very close to the sewer line, and it's going to be impacted by the sewer replacement project. It wasn't clear or evident that replacement of the culvert along the west side of the street was going to be included in that work. But based on email correspondence that we got from Eric recently, apparently that may have been the intent, was to also replace the storm drain culvert on the west side, even though it's not directly impacted by the sewer work. So I guess I'm trying to figure out at this point is that storm drain replacement included as part of the project on the opposite side of the street from the sewer? And I was curious if the sewer commission is supposed to be paying for that part of it as well, or if there's some sort of cost sharing arrangement with Public Works.
I'm going to try to get that answered. Corey, could you please relate to the commission and what you understand the DPW's offer is?
So I spoke with Adam, and they were, Public Works was offering to provide, if we were to install the east side drainage, they would provide the pipe, the stone, the sand, the crushed gravel. They would supply everything, and they would supply half of the base to repave the road and all of the top to top it afterwards. But they're, in talking with Eric, getting a little bit more information on this, it sounds like there's either 4 or 6 extra structures that they want to plant, and 3 new crossings that they want to put in as well, not just what's existing. They want to add on top of it, which I didn't know that at first.
Well, from my understanding, this is a lot more than we were originally led to believe. We were led to believe it was simply the drain line that was parallel to the sewer repair, and just structure for structure, pipe for pipe. Now it's gotten bigger, and we're adding crossings, and where we were going to split the pavement with them, the only thing they want to give us extra right now is the the half of the top coat. That's the only thing extra they're applying to the project. So other commissioners, I'd like your input on whether we're getting a fair, in your opinion, this is a fair shake, or if we should have to start negotiating with DPW on this. Commissioner Pierce.
It appears that the new feature that of most concern would be the 3 new crossings from a manhole inlet going to the west side where the pipe is. That should be an expense somehow covered
Okay.
by Public Works.
And also, I don't have a copy of the plans, but I looked at the GIS, which isn't going to be entirely accurate, the town's GIS, but this only like half the street had a storm line running with the sewer line, I feel like, and the other half, it was on the other side of the street.
Yeah, it was like 700 feet, I think, runs right next to it, and then it switches sides.
So that wouldn't even be in the same tank.
Daniel, could you finish your statement, please?
So that wouldn't even be like related to our sewer trench that we're putting in.
Not at all.
Whole new opening,
So, from the commissioner's point of view, should I be contacting Adam to see if to get an exact statement on what they're expecting, as opposed to this, sort of hearsay approach that we've been running with, unfortunately. So I think I'm not going to ask for that. I'm just going to do it. I'll call Adam tomorrow, or Eric, and I'll speak to him about the scope of work from the DPW side and see if it is going to be cost effective or cost prohibitive for us to engage into this agreement with them.
I agree with that, Tim. Take Corey with you.
Okay, I will. All right, so we're not going to do anything with that tonight. So Mike Trank, we will get you an answer as soon as we can, but will that stop you from submitting the sewer plan itself to the DES for review?
No.
Good, that's good. Well, we can at least move forward with that, and we'll hash out this drainage issue with DPW and who's paying for what, okay?
Okay.
It seems like it's gotten complicated, more complicated than I thought it was going to, unfortunately, so. All right, any other business for the meeting tonight from all parties that are on the line?
I just had one question. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 8th. I was wondering if anybody had a problem changing that to June 15th. I'm on vacation that week. I'm still planning to work that Tuesday, but
You'd like
it
to go
won't
home?
give me time to do, no, it won't give me time to do the agenda, and I'd have to do the agenda the Thursday before. I mean, I don't mind doing that, but if nobody has a problem.
Does anybody have a conflict to change the meeting to, what was the date? June what?
June 15th, the
June
third
15th.
Tuesday instead of the second.
I have a conflict.
You
You
do?
do?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry.
All right, that's fine. We'll leave it at the 8th then. I'll make it work. Not a problem.
Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
All right, well, if there's no other business, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
This is David. Motion to adjourn.
Daniel? Second? Did you second that, Daniel?
Yes, I second it.
Thank you. Motions are made to adjourn by David, seconded by Daniel. Roll call vote. Dave?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight, and have a good week.
Good night.
Night.